looking at the cross, we come to this point where we take a look at the cross, and we're familiar with it. Many of you wear the little cross around your neck, and you see crosses all over the place. I think way up in Grayling or something, there's this giant, huge cross, and you can go up and walk up to it and stuff. And the cross is something. I mean, you see the red cross. You see the crosses everywhere. I think that the medical sign is a picture of a cross with a snake on it. I mean, these types of things are everywhere. The cross is something that we're familiar with. But I don't think that we really grasp exactly what it meant. I don't think we really understand everything that it is representing or what it's all about. Actually, not even representing what it's all about. The Bible says the soldiers led Jesus away into the palace, that is the praetorium, and they called together the whole company of soldiers. And they put a purple robe on him. They twisted a crown of thorns and set it on him. And they began to call out to him, "Hail, King of the Jews!" They were mocking him. Again and again they struck him on the head with a staff and spit on him. Falling on their knees, they paid homage to him. And when they had mocked him, they took off the purple robe and put his own clothes on him. Then they led him out to crucify him. It's a pretty thing up until the Passion of the Christ, which is a movie if you haven't seen. Up until that point, the beating and what took place with Jesus has been kind of portrayed kind of lightly, really for what it really was. People don't really go into it because it's kind of an ugly thing. In fact, when Jesus, what they said, that when he came before Pilate and they said, "Hey, we want you're going to be flogged," or they didn't say, "We want you to," they said, "You're going to be flogged." That was like the judgment. The flogging wasn't some little, mamby-pamby thing. In fact, you know what? We put the clothes on Jesus, right, in all the paintings and pictures. Why? Because we can't, it would be inappropriate if it wasn't. But history tells us over and over again that when they flogged somebody, they were stripped totally naked, humiliated, embarrassed in front of a crowd. And then they took their whip, and it wasn't just like a whip like this. It just was, a little thing, or even a belt. But it says that history tells us again and again that what they used to have is they had these strings like this, or this rope, this leather, and attached to it were pieces of bone, sheep bone, that they would attach there, or pieces of glass. And what they would do is when they would take it and they would whip somebody, it wasn't like just a hit like this, bam, and then they're done. It was a hit, and when it did, this would stick in their body. It would stick in their body, and then they would yank it out. And when they did, pieces of flesh would come right off. Pieces of bone. It's real. In fact, what they say is that crucifixion is the worst form of death. There is nothing. It is the cruelest form of death known to man. Nobody has thought of anything worse than that. It is the absolute worst. And scientists have proven it time and time again. In fact, the word excruciating, if you've ever heard the word excruciating, which depicts intense pain, that comes from the root word crucifixion, because of the pain and anguish of what it is. Look at. In fact, they say on record is that from these types of things, from history, the Bible doesn't give a ton of details about it, but what it does say, what we know enough about history of these things is that, this whip would cut right through and rip off the skin, and Jesus would begin to pound and lose blood intensely. And so what they do is he'd be pouring out blood, and they would take and they would throw the robe on him, and you know what that robe is like? When you cut yourself, you tie it, right? It kind of did that. And then they rip it right off him again and reopen all those things that are happening. The Bible does say that as Jesus was walking, he fell. And it's no wonder that he fell because of the amount of blood that he lost. You know what? They took a crown of thorns and they placed it on his head. Thorns pounding into his skin, into his brain. And you know what? It says that when they hit him with a staff and they pounded him, every time that they did, you know what? Those things would cut and tear. And the amount of blood that Jesus lost is just unbelievable. It's no wonder he wasn't able. He fell and had to have someone help him up, help him carry the cross. So this thing isn't some joke. It's not some cutesy little thing. It's real. It's a brutal death. It's the death that is reserved for the vilest and worst criminals. They didn't just do it to anyone. They did it to the worst. And that's what these people, that's what they felt of Jesus, that he was the worst. And you know what? The cross is something that all of us, what do we want? We're talking about it. God, help me to understand, the cross. Help me to understand what this means, God. God, lead me to the cross. Lead me to this place where I can understand and get a hold of it. And I just pray that in these next few minutes that you would get a hold of it and just kind of catch a glimpse of the reality of what this is, that I would catch a glimpse of what it was. This is the sacrifice that Jesus paid for us.